This is Keith Helwig from Cops Corrections Short Videos. Last month, I made my annual trip to Washington, D.C. for National Police Week. This is something I've been fortunate enough to be able to do for the past 9 years. During that week, our nation takes time to remember the officers killed the previous year in the line of duty. This year, there were 128 officers that were killed in the line of duty, and additionally, there were a number of officers who died of 9/11 related illnesses or complications from gunshots or illnesses or whatever that were work-related that were also recognized. Their names were inscribed on the wall with over 20,000 other names. There's some names on the wall that I know. One I think of right away is Captain Thomas Boehm. Captain Boehm is the only Wisconsin correctional officer on the law enforcement memorial wall who's considered to have died in the line of duty. I knew Tom. Tom and I went to high school together. He was a year older than I was. He was killed in the line of duty driving between work sites in his duties as a captain for the Department of Corrections. Another officer that I didn't know personally but I had met through training was Officer Dale Tenhaken. Officer Tenhaken was an officer with the Manitowoc, Wisconsin Police Department. One night he was working and he pulled over a vehicle for driving without its headlights on. As he was talking to the driver, two teenage male passengers slipped out of the vehicle and one of them approached him from behind and shot him in the back of the head. I'd met Officer Tenhaken during training, and I also worked with two of his brothers. His father was also a Sheboygan County Sheriff's Deputy. His brother Al, who I had worked with in the Department of Corrections, quit the Department of Corrections and became a Milwaukee police officer. I also think of Deputy Bruce Williams. Deputy Bruce Williams worked for the Green Lake County Sheriff's Department. Deputy Williams was assassinated responding to a domestic disturbance. He left behind a wife, a couple of small children, and a community that was devastated by his loss. Closer to home, Officer Craig Burkholz, once again, was responding to a domestic dispute. In his response, he started to get out of his patrol car, and a cowardly sniper shot him as he exited his vehicle. Officer Burkholz was a veteran who'd recently returned from a tour of duty in Iraq. Once again, his loss was deeply affected the entire community. Another one which really hit the community was Trooper Trevor Casper. Trooper Casper worked for the Wisconsin State Patrol. It was his first day of working alone, and he noticed a vehicle pass by that had been involved in a recent bank robbery and a subsequent murder. Trooper Casper, without any regard for his own safety and doing his job, pulled behind the vehicle and followed it into town. Once he got into the city of Fond du Lac, the subject pulled over, jumped out of his car, and with two guns ran at Trooper Casper, shooting and wounding him numerous times. Trooper Casper was able to return fire, and he did kill the suspect. Unfortunately, Trooper Casper also died of the wounds he received. Every year when I go to Washington, D.C., these are names that I make sure to look up on the memorial wall. As I stated, there are more than 20,000 names of law enforcement professionals from corrections, from law enforcement agencies, from the railroad police, the Secret Service, FBI, all on the law enforcement memorial wall. Their names are put there, along with the inscription, "Don't remember them for how they died, but rather how they lived." Thank you. Stay safe, watch your back, and if you like my videos, please subscribe.